Hey everybody, welcome to the Quick Draw. I am Mike, formerly owner of Young Guns. We got a special show for you tonight and a very fun guest today. With me are my co-host John at Kemari Huryoku and Blue, aka Blue Fox Assassin. She prefers to go by her legal name, Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. So
Right.
I knew you were going to do that to me. You're so
that, you know what's funny is she's doing this to avoid all the creepers in her DMs, but now all her DMs are going to be like, so
hey, princess.
Speaking of banana hammocks, hey. So I know you guys probably wanted us to talk about gun control and guns this week, with what's going on, but we're going to avoid that for as long as possible. Maybe if we're lucky, we can get Bella on the show. That'll be a fun conversation to have. But we do have a special guest today, a special topic. Kelly, what are we doing today?
We have my childhood hero, Shira.
I was going to say something really inappropriate, but
no, I'm actually really, really excited because everybody knows her. Shira is so amazing, so sweet, and so nice. And yes, you do have to go through me to get to her, so just back off.
And you have to go through me to get to Princess Consuela Banana Hammock here. So
up.
it's like there's like several degrees of separation here before you actually get to Shira.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm just generally here to go through.
We're very protective of our friends.
I mean, you know.
I have to go through Mike to be honest.
And you have to go through John, maybe, to get to me.
Okay.
Anybody.
John would take a bullet for me, but not anywhere vital.
Okay.
He's like, as long as it's just a flesh wound.
Okay, Shira. Guys, I'm talking to Shira. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
I am so excited. I've been excited about this for all week. And
She wouldn't shut up about it.
I know. I mean, really, we could talk about anything, but you had been talking earlier this week about your trip to South Korea, and I thought that was probably appropriate given the Olympics and all that stuff. So, I mean, I think we're just going to kind of keep this really light and easy, but I'd love to hear about your trip and your experience because you went to the DMZ. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I did, yes. So my ex-husband and I went to South Korea in 2002 for the World Cup. That's a soccer match for those of you that are
illiterate, cultural. For those of you that are Philistines, like what the hell? Come on.
I was going to say American, but that was
right. That too. Some people don't keep up, you know. And
I only watch the World Cup because of my wife. That's she makes me watch it, and then we watch it until Chile either loses, which is usually what happens, or if they ever win, then we get really excited. But that's
right, yeah. So we were there. Obviously, we were following the United States team, and they were playing in South Korea. It was co-hosted that year by Japan and South Korea, but we were in South Korea for 2 weeks following the USA team around. And while we were there, we did have time between the matches to do some sightseeing. So we did that.
So what was it like? I mean, you got into some detail on the thread earlier this week.
Are we talking about the thread when we say the thread?
No. Like, I wrote a little bit when somebody was talking about, you know, all the adulation and the praise regarding North Korea. I wrote up a little blurb just on my timeline, just kind of, I didn't go into a lot of detail, but just talking about a little bit about what we saw on our trip and, you know, the fact that the DMZ exists and, you know, it's still North and it's South Korea. And, you know, there's not very much to praise when it comes to North Korea. And it was really kind of sickening to see how they acted in the media. And I don't know if that's died down, you know, because now people are more focused on the events and all, but, you know, it's kind of disheartening.
Yeah, it was really sick, kind of the way she's stealing the show. Really? I mean, I know that not everybody's into the Olympics, but like, it's that bad that we're thrilled to have the sister of like this awful dictator.
I mean, I know she's North Korean Goebbels and all, but I'd still bang her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You have a low
Maybe.
threshold, don't you?
I'm not picky. I mean, she's hot, it's Asian, whatever. You know,
Camilla, are
she's
you listening to this?
Right.
Like,
I'm going to be in so much trouble after this
Oh,
show.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't care.
messaging her right now.
There's no question.
No,
Oh, geez. Okay, that you're just speeding this process up.
no, because she knows what will happen when she does that, and that's why she's doing it.
It'll be fun to watch.
That's a paddling.
Well, I mean, I had people from my church, actually. They went to the DMC there recently also. My pastor did, actually. Because, you know, and the interesting thing is that I think North Korea came in recently. They came in this time around with the talk of, you know, they want reunification and, you know, they want to see Korea reunified. I think what they mean is we want to absorb South Korea into the communist dictatorship, you know, and
Definitely.
under the Kims. And it's like, you know, at first I thought, you know, that Trump kind of fueled this, that they hate Trump so much they want to love North Korea. Then it occurred to me, remember Hugo Chavez? They kind of did the same thing, you know, where everything he said was just gold. I think it's just
Well, that was Bush too. But I mean, there was Bush bashing in behind that, I think too. But I think you're onto something with that, because I don't think it's they hate Bush or they hate Trump or Republicans and presidents in general so much that they fall in love with these dictators. No, they've always loved them. You're right. They've always loved them. It's just now they figure, well, everybody hates Trump so much they won't really care if we say, hey, we love mass murdering fuckwits. Hey!
Did you say this? Oh wait, like, you know, so it's frustrating, really, because it's like, yes, all the things that they say Trump is going to do are things that Kim Jong-un is already doing,
Right.
and yet somehow we're supposed to believe that Trump is way scarier than Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is, of course, just a lovable little ball of fluff, you know. He's relative to dogs.
And can we just point out how stupid it is? If they really, really, really think that Trump is worse than Kim Jong-un, why do you want to take away guns? Explain that one to me. Come on.
Right?
Think that one through, guys. Trump is so bad. He's worse than that guy that like straps people to anti-aircraft cannons and executes them and starves them to death in concentration camps. You should totally like give up your guns.
Plus,
You're never gonna beat the American military.
Plus again,
Okay, what?
The plus on top of that, you have the whole idea that, well, you know, especially because again, the press is saying, you know, that Trump is clamping down on the press, which I noticed they're saying from like everywhere. The news
from every media outlet out there.
All the places.
He's clamping down on the press. See, can you see? He's clamping down on it right now, as we speak, as we tell you, the press. We tell you this.
Kim Jong-un, you say that once and you never get heard from again. That's the difference.
Exactly.
Cheerleaders were not available for comment.
Right. Oh God, that was true actually, because I know the first time they did that, several of them ended up in prison camps. Apparently, they weren't cheering enthusiastically enough.
Yeah, and nobody sees the irony in these, you know, in what the press is coming out with and the way that they're talking about, you know, Trump versus Un. It's like it just completely eludes them that, you know, well, here I am bitching about the leader of my country, and I can bitch about the leader of my country without worrying about somebody showing up in the middle of the night to take me and my family away. Right. You know.
Well, plus, can I be honest? Honestly, these are the same people who believe that Donald Trump is a complete bumbling idiot. Let's just be realistic. I think they're not wrong on that one entirely. The reality is you're giving Trump a little too much credit when you try to say, yes, he's a mastermind with an evil plan to turn this into the Handmaid's Tale. And it's like, dude, the guy can't keep his mouth shut for like 3 seconds. You know, and why do you think his lawyers don't want to put him before, like, say, Mueller or something? Because the guy can't shut up. You know, you're giving him way too much.
It's funny. He probably wouldn't even incriminate himself, because I don't think he actually did anything. but he'd probably incriminate himself in like something else completely unrelated to Russians. He's like, and yeah, I like totally killed a hooker. Sir, they're called call girls. No, when they're dead, they're hookers, okay? When they're alive, they're call girls. When they're dead, they're hookers.
I was like, what you just said? You killed one, right? But oh wait, was I not supposed to say that? You know, it's like, I mean, seriously.
The fake news media just said I killed a hooker.
You know,
I totally shot a hooker on 5th Avenue and nobody cared. Believe me.
And again, it's like all this stuff is baked into the cake. We know this about. This is why nobody cares. Because the thing is it's all there. It's all. We already know what the guy is like. You know, you can't. So you know, when you start telling me that a North Korean dictator who actually is somewhat attached to his ideology, and so therefore he kills people over it, you know, as opposed to Trump, who basically has no ideology and isn't really attached to much of anything. You're going to tell me that the guy is going to care about something so much that he's going to kill you over it? Let's just be realistic. I don't think he has an attention span that long. So, you know,
he's too busy watching the Gorilla Channel, let's be honest.
Or taking a nap.
But meanwhile, North Korea. But you know, one thing I will say though is Trump did do well with, like, you know, the kind of the foreign policy and the jousting with North Korea. Because let's be realistic, North Korea plays at wanting war. Of course they don't. Of course they don't. Dear God, no. That you think China's going to protect them if it comes to an all-out war with the U.S.? China's going to be like, you're on your own. you fuckers are on.
New phone, who dis?
New phone, who dis? What is that from?
It's like China, we need your help. With what? Like,
I don't know what that's from, but it's all over the place all the time.
It's a meme. Memes are funny like that.
Yeah,
like,
but
we never really know
it's
where
on a
memes
movie
come
or
from.
something. The Ranch. That's where it's from.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know.
I'm really impressed that you know that, and I don't.
I didn't know
I'm
that.
full of random stuff.
I know that show.
We should just take Kelly on Jeopardy and see how much money we can win.
But,
does Canada have Jeopardy?
Yes. Well, we watch it.
Isn't Alex Trebek Canadian?
I don't know, but it would make a lot of sense. I mean,
I just assumed that he was.
Yes, he is.
That's what your mother said, Trebek.
Back to you, Alex.
One Celebrity Jeopardy. Like, I'll take the penis mightier for 500. Alex, like, that says the pen is mightier. I can read, Trebek. That says the penis mightier. Oh God, I will never forget.
We used to, you know, it's funny that I never had seen that skit, but I learned about it, and we would crack jokes about it all the time when I was a missionary in South America, which kind of tells you what Mormon missionaries are like behind closed doors.
Right. Well, it's like
the penis mightier.
Well, it's like a Mormon friend of mine told me earlier today. Is how do you keep a Mormon from drinking your booze? Bring
another Mormon.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I know all those jokes.
They say the same joke for Baptists. So
yeah, they do. Like there's a lot of overlap between Baptist and Catholic jokes and Mormon jokes.
But I thought Baptists could drink.
Southern Baptists can't.
Oh, speaking of
wink.
Southern Baptists would never ever do that.
That's right. We don't dance either.
Right. So
I know that one. I knew about that one. So now Shira, you were in Hawaii during the whole. Speaking of North Korea's freak out, you were there during the false alarm.
I was. I'm living
so
here.
I have a lot of questions about that. Okay. My first one: how did you react? Like, what was your? Was it an oh shit moment, or were you just like, well we're dead. Fuck it. It's like run naked in the streets.
Right. I was shoving my children into the what do
Sewer?
they call it? Yeah, the sewer, because they were doing that. It was kind of that was so surreal. So it was like 7:30ish on a Saturday morning. I was awake, but I was not up. And the alert came through. The first thing I knew was the alert came through on my phone. And you know, we get weather alerts and things like that. I didn't know it was something different for a moment. So I actually looked, you know. I mean,
Today will be hail in Hawaii with a chance of nuclear hellfire.
Right. You know, on your phone, I don't have 10 different sounds for every kind of, you know, alert. So I look at
what
it.
year do you live in?
Right, I know. I'm a Luddite, let me tell you. But
I suppose that's a good thing, though, because can you imagine if your phone was like set to an air raid siren? That kind of emergency.
Everyone around you just like,
well, and that'll bring us to something else in a second. But so I look at it, and it says, "Emergency alert! There is an incoming ballistic missile. This is not a drill." And so it's like. Okay.
Do they have wait? Do they have drills in Hawaii?
Yes, they started having drills here a couple of months ago.
Why am I not surprised?
Specifically for the because of North Korea. So I get up, I go turn on the TV to see if I can find out any other information, because that's the only thing it says on the alert. Well, on the TV, they're scrolling, like every channel I looked at, they're scrolling a message that basically says the same thing as the text alert. And there's a voiceover that says, this is not a drill. There is an incoming ballistic missile. And I'm laughing, but it's kind of like, okay, so it's not just my phone. Now they're, maybe it is serious, but I don't hear any sirens going off. And see, we have sirens here. And they use them when they use them for testing for both the weather alerts and the missile alerts. And I've heard them, so I'm not hearing any sirens outside. I live in a house, although my area is separate, and I don't hear my landlords running around, freaking out, anything. I mean, there's no noise anywhere. So then I got online to see if there's anything I could find online, and I couldn't find anything. In the meantime, I called my mother, because my parents are back in Texas. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on, but if you see this on the news, this is all the information I have. Now, mind you, this has probably been, 5 minutes between getting the alert and talking to my mother and, saying, I don't know what's going on, but, if you don't hear from me again, you know what happened, I mean, and then it was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I was home. So, it wasn't like some of the people where they were out, they were at the airport or they were out at, the store or something like that. So it was kind of like, well, I was sure I didn't need to leave the house. But other than that, I don't really know what to do. And that's something that, that they determined afterwards, nobody knows what to do. Like they've been putting out all this stuff about, being prepared, but they haven't really been telling anybody what that means.
The first question is, what's your preparation really? I mean, honestly,
well,
that's
stick your head between your knees.
Right.
Kiss your ass goodbye.
Right.
That's why I love you, Kelly. I'm being blue.
And that's the other thing, it's like, what do you, I mean, how do you prepare? I figure, well, I'll just sit here till, it comes or it doesn't. I mean,
I love the fact that the general consensus was either we don't know what to do or we're not altogether sure that this is even true, which begs the question. They claim that, I don't know what the literal explanation was for this. I thought they said someone hit the wrong button, quite literally.
I think so, yeah.
he butt dialed the emergency broadcast system.
Because that's an odd explanation to give. Because what you're insisting to tell me is that one button is capable of sending alerts to the entire state that a ballistic missile is headed towards the state. It's
right.
Dude, maybe have a little check like, are you sure you want to?
Well,
No, they did. They supposedly did.
Well,
Apparently the guy got multiple at least one warning
Right.
saying, "Are you sure you want to send this?"
then he
Click.
didn't
No,
put
and
several wrong buttons.
they actually showed this, which was kind of odd, that it was like it's like from the 1980s. You know, it was a drop down kind of menu where he had a bunch of choices, and one was for a drill and one was for a reel, and he picked the reel. And yes, it did ask him to verify, and he still said yes. So
I wonder if this whole thing was masterminded by Trump to just lull Kim Jong-un into like a false sense of security.
Totally unprepared.
They went to the studio where they faked the moon landing, and then they put like a really shitty mock-up of a government thing, and then it's really this bad if you launch a nuke at us, and really there's like a super Iron Dome. That's like the nuclear version of the Iron Dome or something. I don't know.
Like we're just testing this out. I mean,
I don't know. There were all kinds of theories floated around about, it was Hawaii trying to get back at Trump because they're all Democrats here. It was, I mean, just some silly stuff. But actually, they wound up. So first, they wound up the person that actually pushed the button, but actually it was just a click. Initially they reassigned him, and then he wasn't cooperating with the investigation, so they fired him because he didn't want to cooperate. And then
so he did get fired.
He did.
That's a silver lining, folks. This won't be happening again.
Or at least we hope.
Right.
The head of like the Office of Emergency Management for the state, he wound up resigning over it as well. So, I mean, there was actually some pushback after the event, because at first it was kind of like, they weren't really doing anything. And then obviously, they decided that some people needed to be held responsible, which
I think the guy just got bored. Honestly, I think it sounds like the job doesn't have a lot to it. The guy just got bored.
You know what I think happened? I think the cat walked across the keyboard.
That's what we're not. That's at work, guys.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, if I had been you, Shira, and I'm getting an alarm at 7:30 in the morning, I would fucking ignore it. I'd be like, bitch, it is 7:30 in the morning.
Right. Just kind of like,
I'd be pissed at North Korea. Like, you couldn't wait till noon?
right.
Let me have breakfast. God damn it.
I'd be like, I'm going to
assholes
myself because it is way too early for this shit.
Right. It's just
go back to bed.
Like you come in with the ballistic missiles at ungodly hours of the night. Honestly, it's like, could you maybe just fire your missiles during the day? No. You have to wake
or at least in the middle of the night, so you die in your sleep. You just sleep through the alarm.
Exactly.
And you wake up in a nuclear holocaust.
Or you don't wake up at all.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Either way, 7:30 is too fucking early.
Right. So, and again, it's funny because it just reminds me that there's propaganda in North Korea, that they tell the people, like the people of North Korea seem to genuinely believe that like America is scared of North Korea and they're the most powerful nation in the world. I guess that's what happens when you control the media. I guess another reason why I'm sure the media here loves North Korea is they love the idea that they could just tell people things and they'll believe them, even if they're like grossly untrue. And but they're telling them.
And that's what they do here anyway. They just like the government backing. There's
this thing called the internet that allows people to kind of get information elsewhere. And
No, John. The internet died. Remember?
Right.
They repealed net neutrality. We don't have internet anymore.
No,
I've got gnomes like in giant hamster wheels, and they're just running in circles right now. And that's how we're able to broadcast. Like the internet died.
But speaking of that sort of thing, like when we went to the DMZ, so you can look out over the grassy area, which is basically the DMZ, and it's fenced in, and you can see to the other side. It's not that far really, between North and South Korea. And so on the other side, they had, I'm sure they still have this, but they had loudspeakers that were up that were like constantly spewing propaganda, and you could hear it back over on the side where we were. And it was all, now mind you, Kim Jong-un wasn't in power at that time. You know, this was 16 years ago, so it was his father. But you have these loudspeakers, and they're talking about, you know, how great life is and how wonderful you know, great leader is, and don't you want to live here in North Korea? I mean, it was, yeah, you know, and it's like, I can't imagine having to listen to that all the time, you know.
Now hear this. It was like,
I'd be like, I'd want to kill myself just having to listen to that all day.
that's about
Forget the
option.
bread lines and the starvation. I'd just be like, fuck this. I don't want to listen to this guy anymore.
You got to remember, according to Bernie Sanders, the breadlines are a good thing. Because remember that in capitalist societies, the rich would eat all the bread and the poor would starve to death, which I'm sure will happen any minute now. But the point is, you know, so Bernie Sanders must love it too. I mean, after all, breadlines are good.
I know the aspect of communism that he really likes is the rampant hypocrisy, as he owns like 3 mansions,
right?
While everyone else is starving because the rich are eating the bread first.
Like, no, you have to.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Like, you need to understand. I'm poor.
It's like the upper echelon of Scientology. Please don't sue us. It's like you get to the upper echelon of communism.
Yeah, go ahead, sue me. I don't have any money.
Like, you
yeah.
Just because I own 3 mansions does not mean that I'm rich. Compared to the people that I work with, I'm poor.
Wait, did he seriously say that?
No, well, no. A lot of people defending him did, because they're like, remember when back during the election when they said there was a meme about how it said, you know, the people who want to lecture us about income inequality are all like multimillionaires, and they're like, but Bernie Sanders has the smallest net worth on the stage. And I was like, he's still in the 1%.
He still has more money than me.
A lot more. I was like,
give me one of those fucking mansions, asshole.
It was like, so I'm just kind of sitting there, just like, you do realize the guy still makes like crap ton more than you, right? It's like, he may make less than they do, but that's not saying much. You know, $1,000 would still be crumbs to him too. I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz would approve. You know, so it's not like you know, but I think he's doing that. He's playing the comparison game. But you know,
I think a lot of the ramp up that we're seeing too, like with defending Korea, is in part there's like there's almost this fear of the Cold War happening again.
Yeah.
And so the media, I mean, the left sympathized with the Soviets, and now they're going to sympathize with the Norks, and because they didn't learn their lesson.
Just in our lifetime, there was Venezuela, Cuba. I mean, look what happened when what's his name? I was going to say Cesar Chavez. Same difference, right? But no, I meant damn it, what's his name? Castro.
Yeah.
When he died. And they're just like, oh my God. And Obama goes over then, oh my God, it's just such a terrible loss. To who? It was like, you know,
that's okay. America got the best revenge ever by naming a street in San Francisco after him. So
right. San Francisco, right?
It's very appropriate. You know.
Hopefully that's one of the ones where there's
that's where all the bathhouses are.
Right, exactly. It's a high concentration of bathhouses.
It's because we want people to know how incredibly gay communism is.
Now,
okay.
Hold on here. While we're naming a street after him, tear down that fucking statue because it insults my ass.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
I think Castro's been around a lot longer than.
Well, I gather
Obama,
it's a statue of a white guy, so I guess I can't care, right? I don't know. Is that how that works?
Probably
no, that's
not.
Richard Spencer's line. I was gonna say no. If it's a statue of a white guy, then it's oppressive. I'm not sure.
Now, Shira, do you speak Korean by any chance, or understand it?
No. And my ex actually is he's good with language.
Oh.
Wait, he's what?
He's good.
I thought we were going somewhere else. I was about to say, good night, everybody.
Yeah, right.
My ex is really good with. Okay, hey, wait, listen. I know we swear and all, but come on.
He's really good with languages. He lived in Germany for a while and spoke German fluently. So one of the things that he did was he learned some Korean before we went over there, so that he could just kind of get by with some of those traveler kinds of things. But I was going to say, Kelly said that you know Korean people, right, John?
Oh yeah, quite a few. I spoke it as a child. I can still read it today, but I don't understand much anymore.
For the longest time, I swore he was adopted by Koreans. Like I legit thought his parents. I thought his parents were like Koreans who had adopted him. Like I didn't.
Oh yeah, my Japanese nowadays is better than my Korean, but
right, mine too.
Yeah,
I remember like a few songs.
Technically, I could say the same thing because I don't know like Korean.
But I know a few songs. And then
other than bibimbap,
I know how to ask to go to the bathroom, and that's because when I had a class in it, I already spoke it, but I had a class in it in school, and they basically the teacher would say, once I taught you to say something in Korean, I won't listen to you if you ask in English. And so she taught us early on how to ask to go to the bathroom, and we dared not forget it. So to this day, I still remember
because that's important.
Yeah. I would have just been like, bitch, I'm going to the bathroom. You didn't teach us that one.
And so, yeah, that's still stuck in my head because honestly, it had to. So it's still there.
I was a horrible. I was actually the teacher's pet. I should lie. I was not a horrible student.
I was, depending on the class.
Although I'm pretty sure my Spanish teacher hated me, but I think she hated all children. And we called her Skeletor with a wig. It was really bad. She really did look like Skeletor with a wig.
Well, no wonder she hated you. I mean, have you seen Skeletor?
That's just she didn't like kids. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
It wasn't just me because I was a little jerk in class. It was all the kids.
I just frustrated my teachers because they kept telling me, you could be a straight A student, but me being the economic thinker that I was said, I don't see the point. It takes a lot of work and I don't get anything out of it. So it's like,
okay, don't be telling that to my kids.
I will. Being a B student.
So John's a bad influence when it comes to school. We all know this now.
Being a B student is much more economical.
Were you living in Korea? How did you have Korean classes?
No, it's our church. That's basically it.
Oh,
unification. Okay. So basically, because the founder of the church is from North Korea. And obviously, he moved to Japan.
That's how crazy this show is. We've got a Mormon, a Moonie, and a Canadian.
Yep.
Like it doesn't get crazier than that.
And now you got a cartoon. And now you got a cartoon character, Gus. So.
And a cartoon character. It's just awesome.
I'm a cartoon. I'm a comic book villain.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So see, there we go. So it works out well. So yeah, I grew up around especially a lot of Koreans and Japanese, and so I eat their food so much. But yeah, so that's where I picked up Korean from that. And like I said, it's funny because when there were like Koreans around me, some of them who didn't know me, then they'd see me as a kid and think, "Oh, you're so cute," and I'd speak Korean to them, and they're like, "The little black kid is speaking to me." It's like, the black kid speaking Korean to me. What the hell? And they're looking at me like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
It's like every time I speak Spanish to someone, they don't register. It takes a minute to process the fact that I'm speaking Spanish to them, and they're like, "Oh, wait."
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to their mind is like, "Wait, you're white. Where did you speak? Where did you learn Spanish? You're not allowed to talk like I do. What are you talking about? You're supposed to do it really, really bad."
That's how it's supposed to work. Apparently, it doesn't work. Speaking of which, how's your French?
It's funny. Your story kind of reminded me of a joke that I would tell when I was in South America, because they would always say things like, "Oh, Americans, you guys are so racist," and I'd be like, No, we're not. Not compared to you guys. They're like, no, we're not racist. How can we be racist? I'm like, do you know how you stop traffic in Chile? How? March a black person down the street, okay? You guys all go like, oh my God, a black person!
You know, that's funny. That works in a lot of parts of the world, actually.
It does, yeah.
Again, sort of like it works the opposite too. It's one thing I learned in when I was in first grade is that put a Korean in the class and see how fast the black kids become racist. You know, again, they would beat up the Korean kids all the time, and they'd swear up and down, "I'm not racist." Punch, punch. But no, I'm totally not. Just beating the little Asian bloodsucker. That's all. It was like, you know, so it's like, yep, that's how that works. You know, it's like. So, you know.
It's funny because people tried to convince me now that the whole reason North Korea is the way it is because we're racist and we sanction them. And I'm like,
oh, that's nice.
That's so cute. I was like,
I would, you know, I normally would be like, that's cute, but I think I tried that line with someone. Somebody was like, yeah, because somebody was telling me, you know, oh, you know, they're only like this because we're sanctioning them. We're so evil because we sanction them and we don't give them food. That's why they're really starving. And I'm like, that's cute that you think that if we gave their government food, it would make its way to the people.
Yeah, well, yeah, it works so well.
And he doubled down, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I can't have this conversation with you because you're a fucking moron. Bye.
It worked about as well for Korea as it did for the entire continent of Africa. How'd that work?
Exactly.
So
yes.
it hasn't. After billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars of aid over the last several decades, what has changed? I'll answer the question. Nothing. Zero. Not a damn thing has changed. So obviously it's a lot of money down the shitter. So it's like, honestly, at some point you have to recognize it's not about handing people stuff. At some point, if they don't run their governments well, the people will just keep suffering. This is how it works. You know,
so going back to the North Korean false alarm, Shira. Okay, so you kind of processed it, and you're just like, that's what it sounded like.
Really, I was.
But everyone else was freaking out. It sounded like, right?
There was some serious freaking out because, in fact, somebody, I think it was Greg Gutfeld. Don't quote me, but I think it was. There was somebody in media who had family here at the airport when that alarm came through, and so they were online talking about what their family was experiencing at the airport because there was mass panic there. And I mean, the airport, really, especially
in Hawaii, that's really the best place to be. I mean, if there's a volcanic eruption, a tsunami, a ballistic missile, at least the people in the airport are getting off the island. I mean, that's
well,
I wouldn't be panicking. They'd be like, just take my ticket and let's go. Let's speed this up, people. Let's go now.
I just love the fact that they group those things together, right? Like typhoon, volcanic eruption, nuclear winter,
right?
All of the above. That's why I could never live in Hawaii. Like seriously, like I've been to Hawaii. Hawaii's gorgeous, love it. It was a really fantastic experience. I went in high school with my high school band. I had a lot of fun. I would never live there in a million years. Especially not after they had that strike where there was no toilet paper. Like, nope.
Oh dear God, what?
Yeah, there was a union strike on the mainland. Like I don't know if it was Teamsters or shipping or whatever, but they would not ship things. Things were not getting shipped as a result, I should say, to Hawaii. And at some point, they ran out of toilet paper. Because it's not a very self-sufficient island.
No, it's not.
I was just like, you can only do so much with pineapple, and wiping your ass is not one of them. So
yeah, it's like,
and people wonder why I don't want pineapple on pizza. Come on,
that's different. Okay,
I just had a pizza with pineapple on it. It is literally half of it is sitting on the table, right over, like a few feet away from me. I love pineapple on pizza, but I guess
me too.
I'll eat it. I mean, I don't ever crave it, and I like to troll people who think it's an abomination. But
so, Shira, what was the worst sort of thing that you saw when this was all going on? So, and how long did it last before people were like,
with the text, it was about 45 minutes between the initial text that I received that said it's not a drill and the text that said, oops, sorry, we messed up, or however.
We done fucked up, guys.
The messed up Aaron.
the little shrug like emoji.
Right. One of those.
LOL, JK.
I wish now I deleted those texts, and I wish now I had saved them.
Those are like historical events.
You should have screen grabbed those things for posterity, man. And this was the time that some dumb fuck in the government made everyone shit their pants.
Either that or just kind of give a collective mess.
And supposedly they and I believe them, but I never saw it. Supposedly they corrected on like social media sooner, but I couldn't find anything on social media. I looked everywhere. I could not find anything that they were putting out that said, it had any further information or anything.
Well, that would have been really smart too, because if they, I mean, did you see the reactions of some of the people that were like on social media as it happened? Like, some people were like I was watching this one Periscope of someone that it kind of went viral after this, and they were Periscoping. I don't know who this chick was, but she was Periscoping as she gets the thing on her phone, and she's just like, guys, what do I do? What do I do? Like, first step, put the fucking phone down.
Right. Quit periscoping. I think I saw this. I think I saw the girl that you're talking about. I think it did go pretty viral. But
I mean, she kept. To her credit, she did kind of keep her cool. Like, she didn't cry or panic or freak out. She's just like, but it was like a deer in the headlights thing. She's just like, guys, what do I do? Guys, what do I do? What do I do? What do I was like, you live on a fucking island. You don't know what to do when a disaster strikes? Like, what the hell?
But that goes back to what I was saying, that they've been putting out all these messages about get prepared and know what to do, but they haven't elaborated on, what that is. And see, I've talked to a few guys on Twitter actually in the past few months, and I've had one, and they're guys with military experience, as far as I know anyway. And I've had one tell me, you can do X, Y, Z, and you'll probably be okay. And I've had one tell me, don't worry about it. You're fucked. There will be nothing to do except die. So.
You're fucked. Like there really is nothing. You can, at least a tsunami or a volcano, you can kind of get on the side of the volcano.
You can go to higher ground.
You can go to higher ground.
Yeah. Nuke. It's like, well, I want to get drunk.
But you know what? We get it, right? So basically, be prepared is a useless platitude. It's okay. On the mainland, we have those too. It's called if you see something, say something.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same useless platitude. It doesn't mean anything. Because, of course, if you see something, it better not be a person who's, like, remotely not white. Because otherwise...
It's like that, I'm from the government and I'm here to help mentality. It's like... That it's not that, all the government had... It feels like all the government had to do to calm down, like, 90% of Hawaiians was say... Don't worry, guys. We fixed it. Yes, we know we screwed it up, but don't worry, we fixed it. This will never happen again.
It'll happen.
Maybe. Probably.
Exactly.
Like, give it 5 years. Like, give it 5 years or months. Whatever.
What's the guarantee, and what's the change, and what and we and actually they said they were gonna suspend the drills for a while, although they did do the sirens. I did hear they do them on like the first of the month. I did hear them the first of this month, but they're not doing the sending out alerts for a while. So.
Am I the only one that when you said suspend, the next thing I expected you to say was habeas corpus?
Such a fucking nerd, dude.
Hey, I liked Abraham Lincoln, okay? But yeah,
Well, I don't think you're allowed to like Abraham Lincoln, are you?
I have to like Abraham Lincoln. Are you kidding?
I was going to say,
Oh,
he kind of has,
okay.
I think of the four of us, he has the best reason to like Abraham Lincoln.
I can't keep up these days about who's supposed to hate whom and when and where. And
He's
But
supposed
we're all
to like
supposed to-
Black
I know we're all
Panther,
supposed
and
to
we're
love-
not supposed to watch it.
right,
I still like him.
we're supposed
think he-
to.
Well,
to
it's
like,
sort of like, for instance, you guys made sure not to go see Black Panther, right?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh yeah.
I did that for you, honey.
No, you're not supposed to be sucking the black joy out of the theater. So,
I-
you know,
Is that what we call it now? Sucking the black joy. Okay.
apparently
That's
that's
what
We don't want you to go black. You never go back.
that's what it
That's
was.
what
Apparently,
somebody
so,
said. They said something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah,
Sucking, sucking the black joy.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
If that's not like groundwork for a euphemism.
She was literally asking when it was
Yes,
okay for her to buy
when is-
tickets
Yep.
because she didn't want to be in there with black people because she would quote suck the black joy out of the theater.
You know, the funny thing is if she just stopped at black people, like that would be really racist.
Right?
I'm not gonna watch Black Panther because I don't want to be in a theater filled with black people. ...
I guess it's the same thing. There's a lot that's hard to keep track of. That's just one of those things. Basically,
No,
you're
I
not
don't.
supposed to like.
Right. I can't like something because it's going to prevent somebody from liking it. How does that make sense? You know?
Hey, look on the bright side. I can't hate it. I can't hate it. Because, okay? I'm in the
If you're
same
gonna-
boat as you.
If you're gonna not like a good movie because I'm watching it, fuck you people,
I'm not
okay?
gonna like a good movie. If they
What do you mean, you people? You know what I meant.
No. You know
Don't.
what? You know why I would dislike a good movie? Because someone told me that if I dislike it, I'm a racist. Well,
Right,
damn it!
right.
I'm gonna dislike it. I'm gonna dislike it.
But see,
I don't
I think
care
they're
if
gonna
it's
ruin.
good.
I think they're gonna ruin the movie for me because now I'm gonna like. Normally I go to superhero. I love superheroes.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
the Marvel
So do
flicks.
I. Same here.
And I go to them and I watch them with full-on suspension of disbelief. I don't sit there and critique them. I don't sit there and say, that could never happen. I just watch them and my little inner 6-year-old comes out and goes, "Whee!"
Right.
Okay? But now my inner Sonny Bunch is going to come out and I'm going to be like, they should have done this camera angle right and they should have done this lighting right and those fuckers don't know how to act.
I think he already saw
You should
it.
watch Sucker Punch.
Didn't he?
I'm gonna be a little more shallow than that. It's just gonna be. You said that this cast was diverse and it's all black. What the fuck? It's like,
Did you see people were going dressed in traditional African
as if they know what those are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Traditional African garb,
African.
and just like those Hollywood African accents are really real, right?
Right, exactly.
They all talk like this because that's what all Africans sound like. Am I right?
You should talk to my dad and see if that sounds about right. That's my dad is the one. He apparently doesn't like Nigerians. It always sounds like tell us about Nigeria. They are liars and so like. But,
Very good Nigerian accent. I'm very happy.
not Nigerian. It's Ugandan. But anyway,
Oh.
They all sound
I know,
alike.
whatever.
They all look alike. They all sound alike, right?
Oh,
That's what I'm
God.
supposed to.
I don't know.
Y'all look alike. Y'all from the same place.
Let's just be realistic. That's true, though. But thing is, like,
I didn't say it. I mean, I was just joking, but I think John's serious here, guys.
I am. But, yeah,
Wow.
Be realistic. There's a lot of. Be realistic, okay? I'm gonna go with
I just
Carlos.
made Mark's dogs go nuts.
It's the same as Carlos Mencia said once, okay? Look, he said, this is the part where you get angry. You're a hypocrite. He's like, if I brought 2 black people on this stage, if you honestly think, you're saying that people from the same genetic pool don't look the same, which means if I brought 2 black people up here, you'd be able to tell which region of Africa each one of them hailed from. based on cranial structure, nasal openings, and melanin content. When you say that, I go, come on, they're from Brooklyn. You know, it's like, what was this? No, he's right. He's absolutely right. You don't fucking know. I know plenty of people who are like Korean and Japanese, and they're like, you know what? When I see other people from Japan or Korea, it's like, I don't know the difference. They tell me that
I can
all the
kind
time.
of tell.
Right.
I can
Koreans
too,
are prettier.
I mean, but I mean, they'll tell me from front. I don't really know for sure. It's like I don't really know the difference.
But yeah, I mean, they're just gonna ruin the movie for me because, and you're talking to a guy who watched Pacific Rim and like enjoyed it, genuinely enjoyed Pacific Rim.
Okay.
I'm a fucking engineer. I should be watching that movie and being like,
yeah, sort of like.
Newton's second law and the cube law. Stop! This doesn't work.
But it didn't because yeah, sort of like an IT guy watching Independence Day, right? We'll send a virus to the mothership because it's totally compatible with the Mac. You know? Things on Earth aren't compatible with Mac. Shut up.
My dad. So I know this has nothing to do with North Korea, but now you said that, and I had to tell this story. So I'm dropping my kid off at my parents so that we can get him out of the house and kind of help my wife get the clean up and everything. And my dad storms in the house and he's pissed off and he's like, I'm so mad right now. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, my phone's acting up. And so we look at his phone, and yeah, sure enough, it was actually doing some weird things. And so, his phone was trying to activate itself like it was a new phone. This is a fucking iPhone 4S, okay? This phone is so old. And he's like, this is Apple's doing this, trying to make me upgrade. I ain't going to do it. I'm just like, Dad, Apple doesn't give a shit that you have a shitty phone. They just stopped upgrading it. So, yeah, it's going to act a little weird. It's like, no, they're doing it. I'm telling you what, this is Apple. Apple's doing this because they want me to upgrade my phone. I was like, Dad.
Okay, I'm gonna debunk this. My son actually did research on this. Apple admitted to doing things to slow other older phones down and do things.
No, what they admitted to doing is they no longer...
Don't argue with my 11-year-old. Right? Like, I feel like his research is legit and thorough. Tell your dad that there's an app he can get so he can choose. This is the information I got from my son. What iOS version he has on his phone, and then he won't have all this stuff going on. I'll just tell him to text my son. It's fine.
Yeah, that'll work out really well. Strange men texting your son. Okay. Not that my dad's strange. I mean, it kind of is. It's genetic. Like, this didn't happen. It did happen naturally, folks. That's the problem.
I got told the other day that I have the original iPad Mini. Oh, Mom, I really want to see that. I'm so into ancient technology.
Oh my gosh.
They've not seen a Game Boy?
Like, shut up, kid. That's what you tell him. He's like, shut up, kid.
I love you. I love you.
Yeah, but
you are my flesh and blood. I won't kill you. You are my flesh and blood. I won't kill you. Well, I mean, that works for most people. Apparently, that doesn't work for the Uns in North Korea, so...
Right. Well, no, how many of their own family members have they fed to dogs?
I was going to say, like, didn't they kill an uncle for falling asleep? Like, during a conversation, so like, I guess Kim Jong-un was talking, and he, like, had an uncle or a cousin that fell asleep, and so they executed him.
I never knew why.
Man, that must make like Thanksgivings really tense. Like,
I wish I'd been able to do that with some of my students.
I'm just like,
I'm up here talking. You're not listening. You die. Yeah. That's the motivation.
Stay the fuck awake, man.
I would be a dead man because I fall asleep in class like all the fucking time. One time I was so conked out. I was in English class, and I was was kind of like in that twilight sleep where you're not really asleep, but you're not really awake. And for some reason, I start like rubbing my head back and forth against the desk so that it's like vibrating on the desk, which felt kind of good in a weird way. It was kind of like massaging my head.
Where is this story going?
Well, just listen. So I'm doing this weird thing on my desk, and somebody next to me, a friend of mine, she's like, Mike, why are you doing that? What the hell are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, because and again, I'm half asleep, so I'm not really paying attention to what I'm saying. And I say in a very loud voice, and the teacher hears, because I'm fucking bored.
Oh.
That teacher didn't
Not
like
in Shira's class, you don't.
Right.
I'm just saying, the point of the story is I'd be a dead man in Shira's class, most likely.
She would.
Oh, well.
Not because of Shira, though.
Yeah, well. Yeah, but...
We love Shira.
Right.
I think Blue has Ladywood for Shira.
I have a girl crush, yeah.
That's the PG-13 way of saying it, sure.
Well, see, the girl would. I think that someone should make a song by that.
So next time you go to visit North Korea, Shira, we're gonna you're taking pictures
like,
for us, right?
South Korea. Nobody visits North Korea. The
Oh.
last guy that did that
Yeah.
is dead.
Look
Is
what
dead.
happened.
I bet that really wrecks the tourism industry in North Korea.
Right?
Well, and that was something that really I couldn't understand when that was going on with Otto Warmbier. It was like, I'm sorry, what are we doing taking kids, young adults to North Korea? I mean, when did we start doing that? And why?
Thanks, Obama.
Right. Well, plus on top of that, apparently he was just a privileged white kid who thought that his privilege would save him, right?
Right.
Just, had
That's
nothing
the way
to
they
do-
want to spin it now.
had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the fact that North Korea would beat the ever-loving shit out of a kid for stealing a sign. You know,
right.
had nothing to do
Which
with
you
that.
would think. I mean, he got arrested for taking down government propaganda, right? But he was taking it as a souvenir. You think they'd be all for that? Look, he's taking your propaganda in the States. That's how else do you think we're going to listen to it?
Right.
Exactly. Like, you honestly think we get North Korea? You know,
It's a little different. So I say that, and then I think, well, when I was in high school, we went to East Germany. So what am I talking about? You say that, but it was the same thing there. They didn't want you taking. You couldn't take any money out of East Germany, and once you taken back coins and since they've dissolved, I can say I took some coins back. But if I had been, no, they didn't kill me, obviously. but they were serious about that kind of thing. You know, they didn't want you taking any sort of property. So it's not, propaganda, yes, but
property.
right, because they're pretty serious about all of that belong.
I'm just saying it's really bad branding.
It is.
It's really, it really fucks with your tourism industry when you kill your tourists. Like, don't do that. Like, can you imagine Disney World just being like off with his head, literally?
It's like we don't believe in return customers.
Or new ones. I mean,
it's just like, yeah.
But how long? That wasn't too long ago. What was that, like 2-3 years ago?
What?
Two.
That guy that got tortured to death.
Warmbier. Yeah, Warmbier was.
Yeah.
2 years.
Well, I mean, he came back at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was under Obama, but it was like the very end of Obama.
Right.
The end of 2016.
And it's interesting. The media
It was like
has
it's going
forgotten
away.
that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's assume, because there are some dumbasses here who are stupid enough to believe this, and there are
Not
enough
here.
dumbasses. Not here. Not that one. None that
Not
watch
in
this
our
show. No, watch this show. But there are some dumbasses stupid enough to believe that like the bad things that people say about North Korea are absolute propaganda. Propaganda from who? The people that are starving to death? Fuck you people. Like, But anyway, like let's suppose that things aren't as bad in North Korea as we think, but they're still pretty bad because they tortured to death a guy for taking down a poster. So they can't be that great either. So here's an American citizen who died, and now 2-3 years later, the media is like, "Oh, North Korea, they're so much better than us in every way, especially doing the side eye."
Dude, but even the father of the guy who died was talking, and they're just like, "Oh, well, he's just bitter." And it's like, "Oh yeah, I can't imagine."
Yeah, well, I would be bitter too if a foreign government killed my kid. Yes, I would be bitter.
Of the State of the Union address, right? Wasn't his parents?
Really?
His parents were there, and then the guy that escaped from North Korea, and but sure, we're making all of that up. Kim Jong-un is a pussycat in real life,
I'm fairly
He's a big fluffy pussycat.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that long ago, like when Obama was in office, that there was it was all over the media, this girl who had escaped from North Korea.
Right.
And she had given a speech and it was everywhere. And it was like how awful they were then, when Obama, now Trump is in office and it's all of a sudden,
oh, they've improved.
Yeah.
They get awards.
They got better.
They've gone. Apparently they get the.
She turned me into a third world dictatorship. A third world dictatorship. I got better. Seriously, like what the fuck? Like I don't. How can you be so short-sighted? Like okay, the enemy of my enemy is not my friend. The enemy is my enemy is just another guy I got to worry about stabbing me in the back when I'm not looking. Like that's, or in this case, nuking my prime tourist real estate while I'm not looking. Asshole. But like seriously, like okay, so you don't think North Korea is that bad? Okay, so you think that North Korea is that bad, but they have a right to be shitty to their own people? Okay, they killed one of our guys. Okay, Trump hasn't killed anyone that we know of yet, right?
I don't.
Right? No, I'm asking. Like, he hasn't, as far as we know, he hasn't killed anyone yet.
If he did, the media would be all over it. I'm pretty sure.
He hasn't tortured anyone. He hasn't stuck anyone to anti-aircraft.
Well, at least no one that wasn't on Twitter. But the thing is just that, I just, honestly, can the guy keep it, it's like, what was the one time, with the one guy where he got the basketball players back from China. And, remember back then, I was like, dude, can you ever just take a win?
Oh, what's his name? Ron?
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman.
No,
what's
not
his
Dennis Rodman.
No.
The ball kid, LeVar Ball.
Because Dennis Rodman is all pals with what's his face over there in Korea.
But remember that, and he's just like, okay, well, now I demand that these players thank me. And then they actually did. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess that came out well. And then the dad's like, well, I'm not going to thank you. And then he's like, okay, well, then I guess I should have left your son in China. And it's like, dude, can you ever just take a win and shut up?
Wait, who said this?
Trump.
I'm like, take a win. You had a win. Just shut up. It's like, dude, the dad's being an idiot. Ignore him. No, of course not. He went bad in the beginning by saying, I demand that these players thank me that I got them out of China. Okay, that was stupid, but he got lucky. The players actually did thank him. But then the dad of one of the players was like, well, I don't thank you. I hate you, blah, blah, blah. And so Trump is just like, well, then fuck that. I should have left your kid in China in a prison. And it's like, really? You couldn't just take the...
There are no winners in this story. I think that's the point here.
Dude, you had a lucky break. Just take it. For God's sake, shut up.
But there's a deeper moral here, too, which is it's the same phenomenon with the media, right?
Right.
All they have to do is let Trump be Trump.
And shut up.
And they not be insane.
Right.
And apparently,
one of those things
they can't do either of those two things. They can't just let Trump be Trump, And they can't not be insane because siding with North Korean Goebbels is abso-fucking-lutely insane, okay? She's Goebbels. That's her job. Her job is to do exactly for North Korea what Goebbels did for the Nazis. Like this, she's evil.
Well, plus she's probably no more or less attractive than Eva Braun, right?
Danny, what?
Than Eva Braun. I
Eva
don't know.
Braun.
What did Eva Braun look like anyway? I don't remember.
I mean, she's kind of cute for, you know.
A master.
I like Asian women. I can't help it. Like, she's kind of cute. So. I like brown women. I can't help it.
I mean, I find Asian women attractive, but you know, I have.
But she's a hero because she gave Pence the side eye. You know,
Right.
whatever that was about.
She's beating us in diplomacy. I'm like, what? What does diplomacy with North Korea? I really want to know what diplomacy with North Korea looks like. That, and we'll close here. Like, what does diplomacy with a country like that look like? Okay, it's the best case scenario is what we're doing right now. Okay, guys, we hate each other, but we promise not to shoot at each other. That's the current state of affairs between us and North Korea right now. It's like, okay, guys, we really wish one of us would die, preferably you guys. And but we're not going to try to facilitate that. All right, we're just going to live and let live and try not to bomb the shit out of each other. Is that cool? Cool. That's the best case scenario. Those guys. Any other diplomacy is all right. You fuckers fucked up. We're sending Mad Dog Mattis over now. Okay, bye. See ya. Nope. You don't get to apologize now. Sorry, you had your chance. We played nice. Bye.
No.
But they're all like, "Oh, North Korea is amazing. They're doing such great things diplomatically." Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Did I miss something?
Yes.
She's got a sexy side eye, guys. I guess that's all it takes to be a diplomat when you're a Democrat. Is you just have to have like a, cute little smile and a slink in your hip. Woohoo! Anyway,
Okay.
I think we ran out of crap to talk about, so we'll stop there. All right, folks, thanks for following us and watching tonight. If you want to share this, we'd greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're encouraging your friends and family to watch.
Well,
maybe not your kids. But definitely follow us on Twitter at ornery_opinions. You can follow John at Kemori Hideyoku. I'm not going to spell it, even though it's spelled just like it sounds, I swear. You can follow Blue here at Blue Fox Assassin. And you can follow Shira at SpeechTeach72. I'd say that 3 times fast.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's TEA, right? It's not TEE.
Yeah, like the word, like the word teach.
I couldn't help myself.
You would fail her class hard.
I would laugh the whole time though, so it'd be okay. All right, folks, have a good night.
For coming on, Shira.
Oh,
thank you for coming on, Shira. We really appreciate it. Thank you for all the comments in the live chat. It was pretty lively today. Mark, sorry about your dogs. You folks will hopefully have a lovely night, and we'll see you next week. Who do we have for next week? Oh, we're talking feminism. Ooh.
All right, that's not confirmed yet, I don't think.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I don't know. Could be. Could be not. I don't know.
Could be feminism. Could be guns.
Could
be feminists with guns.
Ooh.
You never know on this show. It's kind of crazy like that. All right. Well, but either way, be here next week, and we will see you guys. Take care.